Good morning, everybody. This is Judith Echo. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. I took yesterday off. I guess there's a part of me that's just accepting the fact that I am pretty tired. I'm pretty exhausted. I think I podcast the next day after my super long drive, which is really kind of haunting me. I'm having these dreams about still being on that car trip, which was a great trip. We had no problems. It was just really long. It was a long drive, but like I said, I didn't want to be trying to, juggle 2 boxes of ashes and renting a car. I didn't want to have ashes on an airplane and, they weigh a certain amount. It was a lot. But anyway, I think I'm finally accepting that I'm a little tired, and the residual effect of the last several years is finally caught up with me, and I'm okay with that. I'm changing. My life is changing, and I think when your adrenaline drops, there's something that happens there too. Like there's some relief initially. When you realize you don't have to take care of somebody or be worried about somebody like that, or all that comes with that. But then for me, like just as I was coming down from that, then my brother was, having all his health issues this time last year. I mean, even more so, he had started to just stay in the hospital 6 months out of the year. And it was starting to be problematic. Like, why are we doing this? You're not making any changes. You get out of the hospital, you do exactly what you did to get back in it, and you go back every 90 days. It just started to get down to every 60 days. So then, of course, he went into hospice, and then, earlier this year, he transitioned. And then there's the work that follows when people pass away. I don't think people realize it. Like if your person dies without a will and they own things, they have houses and checking accounts, and like you're not going to be able to do anything. You got to hire an attorney to be recognized as the person who can take care of those things for them. And even if they have a will, you still have to, depending on what it is, you still have to be appointed by the court to do that. I forgot I even reached out to an attorney yesterday because of my brother. He had all these checking accounts and savings accounts without any beneficiary named. So it's like, this is wild to me. It's just a lot. So anyway, and this is like the third or fourth amount of money that I'm having to locate and try to get. It's just like, so I'm saying to you with all sincerity, even if you don't think you're rich, please make sure you have transfer on death or beneficiaries named everywhere. And I know if you're an only child, or if you're a mom with with one child and you're divorced, I know those people are squared away because you naturally put that one child's name on everything. But, if you have a checking account, if you have something that people have to take care of after you pass away, you should most assuredly, in my opinion, have a nice life insurance policy to cover all these expenditures, and also just transfer on death. Talk to your bank, especially if you're a person that tends to have multiple accounts. So I was just sitting here and I was thinking, the world seems so shitty in a lot of ways right now, and one of those things is Spotify. And Spotify for me has never taken the place of the record store. I'm old enough to remember how fun it was to get in your car, it was an investment. You get in your car, you go to the record store, you stand around the record store, you look at what's out, and sometimes the store would be playing something new and you discover music that way. It was really cool when you could go to like Virgin Records. I went to Virgin Records in LA and listen to the whole CD before you buy it. It was just fun, and it was social. It was interactive. And now, Spotify, which, I hate Spotify destroyed Anchor. The Anchor app was fantastic. What they've done to it is not fantastic. And now they've redone their analytics. So all of a sudden, after all of these years, instead of reaching this big major milestone, somehow I've lost like 20,000 downloads and I'm not close to reaching my major milestone anymore. And it's like, why is this such a shitty company? Why do they turn everything they touch to shit? Why are you shitty, Spotify? It doesn't make any sense. People don't make any money from music anymore because of Spotify and streaming. Streaming pays nothing. It just doesn't pay. And then people are wondering why Drake and the big artists are scamming the system and buying bots, because that's the only way you're going to get any money from streaming, because they pay you like 0.1 cent per stream, something ridiculous. And now they've cut into that, because I have a production team out there, and there was a time where it wasn't a huge amount of money, but it was a noticeable amount. Now that's even been slashed. Like, why is it such a shitty company? Spotify really sucks, and nobody seems to be willing to say it. We know for a fact that they allow all these bots and streaming. They have no protection against it. And they almost encourage artists to do it. But now that because Drake accused Kendrick of that, and then Kendrick is pretty much like, we're accusing you right back. Apparently it's common knowledge and practice to buy streams. And it's like, this is insane. And these people are stars. You know what I mean? So I think I read about some gangsters who basically, they just run these bot farms. People don't even know what these songs are, but they're making money because they gamed the system. I don't know. I just don't get why it's such a shitty company. It should be better than that. They charge a lot of money to subscribe to it. And it just doesn't take the place of going to a record store. And in St. Louis, it was Peaches when I was growing up. Then, Street Side was also cool. Then I think it was Sound Warehouse or something like that. Blockbuster Music. It was just better to go to the record store. Life was better when you could go to the record store. And that's true. Genuinely, sincerely, what I feel this morning. I think for all this technology, a lot of it has been really, really shitty and terrible. And, I look at what social media has done to younger people. There's a show, I think it's on HBO, Social Media Murders or something, where you got all these influencers. Like, these people get addicted to being liked on the internet. And you sense a theme. Like, I didn't have any friends in real life, but I created this internet community, and they sort of get notoriety, and then something happens. It's at least I've watched several of them, and they all have been really fascinating. And what I don't understand is, and I think it's a show that comes on ID, if I'm being honest, but I don't watch a lot of TV, so I never even heard of this. But it's like, young people are dying pretty much online, like for everybody to see. This one kid, he had a serious addiction problem, and you could see it. I'm not sure why his parents let him leave his house at 17 and go live in LA in an influencer house. That just doesn't sound like a good idea. And you all know how I feel about LA, and my friends from LA get mad at me. But it does have a sinister vibe. If you're not really sure of who you are and where you stand in the world, I wouldn't go spending a whole bunch of time in LA. Unless it's changed dramatically, which I've heard it has, but not for anything good. Like, those people who want to be famous, it's almost like demons get activated around them, because those people that prey on the vulnerable like that. So this kid, he goes and he lives in an influencer house, and his girlfriend and best friend, everybody in his social circle is part of this group, and they're just living in this house and doing social media and influencing and making all this money. But he also happens to have a drug problem, and you start to see it take hold because, of course, as young people do, he broke up with his girlfriend. His best friend, that was also in this influencer circle, broke up with his girlfriend, but he was friends with both of them. Then he had to choose. And it's like, this is straight up high school shit. This is what young people do. This should not be put on for entertainment. And it was broadcast everywhere, and people are giving their 2 cents. You guys were supposed to get married. Why'd you break up? And it's like, because young people break up. Young people change their minds. That's why this trans stuff didn't sit well with me. I don't care about you being trans, but don't tell me an 8-year-old wants to transition. 8-year-olds are not known for their ability to make up their minds. Every 8-year-old wants to be a fireman or the president or something. And none of those people grow up to do any of that. You know why? Because kids change their minds. It's like, stop telling me crazy shit and thinking I'm just gonna be like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, this is what kids do. They fight and they break up. Why is this content? So anyway, the dude, of course, is on drugs, and he starts to look terrible as he's trying to say he's sober, but he's clearly not. And it was sad. And he just basically OD'd. I want to say, did he OD on camera? No. He went, according to his family, he was trying to wean himself off drugs. So he went and bought some drugs in Burbank and took one in the parking lot, walking back to his car, and collapsed because it wasn't Oxy. It was straight fentanyl. It's just a fentanyl pill. You don't need much fentanyl to die. And it's like, this is sad as hell. And so, would he have survived had he not been famous? Probably. I would guess he would have had an easier time, because the pressure that comes from getting these likes and getting these followers, I always ask, where are you leading these people? And why do you want to be an influencer? What are you influencing them to do and to be? And can you handle that pressure? We're talking about people whose prefrontal cortex hasn't even been fully formed. So, you have to ask yourself these serious questions about how technology affects your life and your children's lives, and has it made it better? Yes, some things are cool. You're not going to hear me complain. I like technology, but I think Spotify has been shitty. I think Spotify has been horrible for musicians. I think it's been horrible for anybody creative, And I don't think it's getting better. I think the only thing that's going to get better is when we go back to things that we know work, which is, being in person, talking to each other, sharing each other's ideas, getting excited about, you like this, oh, I like this too. Like, there's a dude that died. Apparently he was some big deal. And people think he died because he was trying to expose the truth about all these child molesters in the entertainment industry. And I never heard of this dude. Never, ever. He doesn't look like anything I would be interested in. I miss the old days when people were famous like Michael Jackson. Your grandmother knew Michael Jackson. Everybody knew who he was. Your mom, your uncles, everybody could put Michael Jackson on, and everybody goes, oh, they're playing Michael Jackson. I miss that. And that's what made Michael Jackson and Prince and Madonna in her heyday, all these really big artists, so amazing. It's because everybody knew them. You could only be famous one way. And that's with everybody knowing who you were. Now it's like, I don't know who this kid is. I mean, he died in a helicopter crash, and people think it was pretty suspicious because of some of the things he was saying before the crash. But I mean, I'm not emotionally invested in it. because I don't know who this kid is. But I'm sorry he died that way. And if he was trying to expose something, that ought to let you know it's deeper than what you think. They will do anything to shut you up, it seems. So that's all I got for you today. I hate Spotify. And yes, I have been threatening to leave this platform forever and launch my podcast through something else. But, it just takes time to find all these things. And it's not like I've just been sitting around. I had a friend tell me the other day, well, you need to call me sometimes. I'm doing all the calling. I'm like, yeah. And for 15 years, I have had a lot on my plate. And I don't do a lot of calling to a lot of people. And if that's a problem for you, cool. We don't got to talk. That's just where I am, man. I'm not joking around. I'm not pulling any punches. I am tired and I am fed up. I am at the end of whatever little rope I had. And now I get to live my life the way I want to. And you can be a part of that or you can not. I honestly, I don't have enough bandwidth to be trying to entertain stuff like that. If you want to talk to me more, just say that. Don't try to manipulate me. Because it's not going to work. Because I don't know. There's very few things I'm all that attached to right now. It's just the truth. All right. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Be blessed. And, it's 9/16. I just finished this podcast on that's my birthday, 9/16. But I looked at my clock and it says 9/16 on June 16. There's some symmetry there. All right. Be well. Bye.